What's going on, guys? Since I've been away for a couple of weeks, I'm catching up on some news, and I want to talk about something that happened to Tulsi Gabbard on Fox News by some neocon piece of garbage that literally smeared her to her face. We're gonna look at the clip, and we're gonna talk about it, and it really pissed me off. Let's take a look.
Allow more attacks like this?
We need to take the threat of terrorism very seriously. As a soldier, I enlisted after the attacks on 9/11 to take on these terrorist groups who attacked us and who took thousands of American lives. Soldiers, service members, people across the country who enlisted after 9/11 take this threat very seriously, which is why we are so offended and angered by actions that this administration has taken to cozy up to and to support the interests of countries like Saudi Arabia, who are the #1 propagator of this very same ideology that fuels terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
I think it's fair to say that the Saudis have cracked down on Wahhabism
around the world.
The Saudis have cracked down on Wahhabism in a pretty significant way. You, on the other hand, have gone and met with Bashar Assad and said the U.S. should essentially try to take our boot off his neck.
I want to correct you on this. The Saudis have not cracked down on the spread of Wahhabism. They continue to spend billions of dollars spreading this ideology around the world, which is providing this fertile recruiting ground, which is fueling terrorist organizations like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. It is a country that continues to provide direct and indirect support to terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda.
Could you try to answer my question about Assad? How does taking... I
want to stop.
I understand that we can disagree on the issue of...
We can disagree on the issue. We are talking about this administration.
What about Iran? Should we have our foot on the neck of Iran?
You asked me to come here to share my views on these issues. I'm trying to share them, and you're not allowing me to do so, and that's unfortunate because these are issues that threaten the safety and security of the American people. You made a statement that is false about Saudi Arabia, and it speaks directly to actions that this administration has taken in continuing to support the interests of Saudi Arabia. Continuing to take sides in this
you've made your point about Saudi Arabia. Let's move on to Iran. You've made your point about Saudi Arabia. Let's move on to Iran. Should the United States have its boot on the neck of the Iranian regime that supports terror all around the world, or not? Because you have a policy of taking our boot off the neck of one of Iran's closest allies, which is Bashar Assad. So with respect to Iran, yes or no, should the United States be tough on them and continue to try to force regime change?
First of all, let me be clear about you are completely twisting and misconstruing my policies, and you're not really giving me the chance to convey clearly what they are. When we're talking about terrorists, who attacked us on 9/11? The majority of those who attacked us on 9/11, did they come from Iran?
All but one came from Saudi Arabia.
Did they?
I said all but one came from Saudi Arabia.
Exactly. That is my point exactly.
Well, who killed all the Marines in the Beirut barracks?
No.
If you want to go terror attack for terror attack, we can.
You're not
answering the question.
Okay. Points here. I am very clearly answering your questions, but you continue to try to divert away from the facts and the truth that I'm presenting to you and to your viewers about the threats that face us in this country.
It's tough. I asked you a specific question. I asked you a specific question about Iran. We didn't get an answer. We got to leave it there. We appreciate it. Thank you for being here. We'll have you back anytime.
Have a great day.
You too. Happy Easter.
I have to say this constantly over and over again when I talk about Tulsi Gabbard. I talk with her patience of a saint. I could not be a politician. I couldn't. Dealing with the constant smears day in and day out, and she goes out there and she handles herself with grace, with professionalism. I don't know how she does it. I don't know. I know she lives by the aloha, and I mean it must be something so powerful that she can deal with some scumbag neocon Fox News douche. And I want to say more words, but I don't want to get flagged or pulled down on this video. Calm down a little bit. But, yes. They bring her on to talk about what happened in the tragedy in Sri Lanka and the terrorism and how terrible it is. And she goes on to talk about that it is a terrible act, and it was a terrible act, and people are dealing with the effects of terrorism. And she went out and she talked about the truth. And when you talk about the truth on corporate media, whether it's on the left or the right, when you talk about the military-industrial complex, war, talking about anti-regime, they're going to try to change the subject, pivot as quickly as possible. And you saw that right away, because this guy, the host, was probably getting messages from his producers like, we need to change the narrative, change it, because she went into Saudi Arabia and she was going after Saudi Arabia because they're spending billions of dollars spreading Wahhabist ideology. And he has like, oh, they toned it down. And she's like, no, I need to correct you. And he continued to disregard the facts that Saudi Arabia is pushing this ideology that is spreading terrorism throughout the world. And we have this unholy alliance with this regime. And it's like mind-boggling that we have people on TV literally talking about that they're toning it back and they're actually not that bad or something to that fact. And they ignore, or maybe they don't ignore, maybe they're naive, or they're being paid to be naive, or they're being paid to not tell you the facts. And that's usually what it is. The majority of the time is that you have, let's be honest, we have millionaires on TV talking about issues. And because of that, you're not going to hear about things like the Yemen genocide or Libya with modern day slavery, Flint, Michigan still not having water, people dying because of lack of health care, Medicare for all. You're not going to hear things like that because they don't care. They don't know. They don't give two shits how you're feeling and how the world and how the neocon and neo-lib policies are affecting your life daily. So Tulsi Gabbard goes on there and talks about the truth. And immediately she is smeared talking about Assad, that she is an Assad apologist again, that you met with Assad. How many times does this poor woman, this poor politician trying to make change, has to defend that every other politician, leader has done this, has met with the opposition and our allies, our foes, our potential adversaries? How many times does she have to defend herself about that? Oh my God, you met with somebody bad. Reagan did it. Kennedy did it. So many other leaders have done it. But you know why it drives them crazy? Because her main issue is what? Anti-regime change war. She becomes president. No Venezuela. No Iran. No more anti-regime. No regime change wars. And they can't stop. They can't have that. So they go on corporate media on both sides of the aisle and smear and divert and pivot, knowing that the majority of Americans don't want to go to war, don't want to spend trillions of dollars on war, endless wars. They don't want to. They want to help veterans. The majority of people want to have people to have health care. They want people to have great paying jobs. But what do you hear on media all the time? Trump, Russia. Trump, Russia. Trump, Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia. Trump, Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia. I mean, there's so many issues that are plaguing the people of this country. And they constantly talk about impeachment. They constantly talk about Trump collusion. And nothing else gets done. Nothing. And when you have politicians like a Bernie Sanders or Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang, Mike Gravel, silence. Blackout. They don't want to talk about it. Bernie is so popular that it's difficult to black him out now. That's the only reason you're hearing about Bernie, and the use of social media, the use of YouTube, the use of periscopes. This is why the message is getting out, because you're watching shows like mine, or Nico House, Jimmy Dore, Kim Iverson. I mean, she's wonderful. So many wonderful, Kyle Kalinske for Secular Talk, and Tim Black. There's so many great shows out there, and mine's a little show. And Dave from Save America, Vote Tulsi Gabbard. So many great shows out there that are telling you the truth. And even if you don't agree with my policies of being on the left and progressive, you know that I'm trying to help people. My policies are true, and I believe them. So many people, you can tell they are bullshitting you. They just want you to hear what you want to hear. Like, I'll take a lot of slack. There's a lot of things that people don't agree with me on. But I tell you, this is what I believe, and if I don't, I will listen to you, and I'll give you the chance to change my mind. And we can work to get to the middle. That's what we need. We need conversations to get us in the middle. So Tulsi Gabbard is trying to get people from all sides of the aisle to come together on this one issue that she's leading with: anti-regime, anti-war. Trying to bring the trillions of dollars back home so we can get Medicare for all, tuition-free college, things like that are actually going to affect our lives for the better. It's very exhausting having to watch corporate media, and I know that we're winning. Independent media is going to win. It's winning. But we have to watch this. We have to point out the bull crap. We have to point out the bullshit narratives. We have to point it out. So we're forced to watch corporate media, and a lot of us want to blow our brains out. Figuratively, of course. But I don't know. Vote Tulsi Gabbard. Vote Tulsi Gabbard. Mike Gravel, get everybody that you know that it's going to be for the people. Bernie Sanders. We want a people's party. We want politicians to go for the people, not constantly pushing the corporate narrative, going to bat for Wall Street, the military-industrial complex. We want real change. And I know Trump supporters, Tulsi Gabbard supporters, Bernie supporters, Yang supporters, Gravel supporters. We all want better lives. That's one thing that we all can agree on. We all want better lives. And we all have different ideas how to get there. But one thing is true. The elites don't give a shit if you're on the left or the right. They just care about money and power. That's all they care about. They use issues to divide us up. But in the end, they don't care if you're on the right or the left or even the middle. They care about money and power. That's why when we're divided, it's easy to control us. If we come together, it's so difficult. So difficult. I'm rambling on here. Let me know what you think about the video. Comment, share, subscribe, and like. How do you think Tulsi Gabbard handled herself in that video? And donate to Tulsi, Mike Gravel, Bernie Sanders, Andrew Yang. We got to build a coalition to work together to stop the establishment, because you know the superdelegates are coming. And we got to put a firewall in front of them. Anyway, guys, you take care. Peace.